Okay, so look, welcome to the first session of the Adapt to Grow. What are we? Are we a conference? Are we an expo? I don't really know what we called it. I just knew I wanted to get people together. Originally, it was going to be called Adapt to Die, but then the chief operating officer said, no, it's a stupid idea. It's too, yeah, you can't really do that. So we called it Adapt to Grow. And that person's actually about to tell us what we need to be doing in business over 2025. So please welcome the COO of Beacon World and one of the best business coaches I've ever met, Geoff Hetherington. All yours. If everybody can please go on mute.
Thanks. Well, I was just going to say, a couple of things that we need to do. One is please mute yourself. Secondly, could you save your questions for the end? And thirdly, just do what Jay said about that that speaker thing. Just go up the top and click it so it's just speaker view, so that really you're just going to hear my dulcet tones for a while, and we'll get moving with the rest of the presentation. Today's really about adapting or dying. As Jay said, I just thought dying was a bit negative. So as my usual things are, no rainbows, no unicorns. This is what makes this different. This is going to be full, chock-a-block full of usable information, stuff you can take notes on now and walk away and start using in your business without any further to do. It's going to be a little bit like drinking from a fire hose. I think I've got about 43 minutes or something rather to get through an enormous body of work, but we'll give it a red hot go. For those of you who don't know me, this is who I am. Don't have all that up there to tell you how great I am, but to let you know you're in good hands. I've been doing this business coaching / consulting gig for the last 12 years. I've helped over 165 businesses and executives get a better lifestyle out of what they're doing. I'm a certified advisory board chair. There's only 45 of us in the country. I'm a certified practicing marketer, and I'm also a certified business continuity planning expert. And all that sits on top of 30 plus years as a C-suite executive in Southeast Asia and here in Australia across a dozen different industries. And way back in the dim dark past, I used to do visiting lecturing on business at universities. And before that, I was a high school teacher. So again, I've been around the block just a few times. I think that's true for all of us. I think we all feel that way, that there's no way I was born to just pay bills and die, but often that's the way life feels. I know from talking to a lot of people that 2024 and 2023 between it really made people feel that's like what life was all about, just scrabbling around to cover their bills. There's 50 plus business problems there, everything from no clear plan to follow, to being scared of success, to not wanting to be a bad person, to feeling too young or feeling too old, lack of time, lack of cash flow. And that used to be enough for us to work with. The thing is, 2024 has proven to us it's a jungle out there. You look at the corporate world, 9 Entertainment's cut 200 jobs so far, 7 Network 300, Australia Post knocked out 400 middle management jobs. Consumer confidence is almost at an all-time low. Interest rates are still high. And capital, getting loans for SMEs is really tough. And when we do get them, we've got to pay much higher rates of interest. But it doesn't stop there. There's even more. The cost of living effects. For most of the people here, most of you guys here that are self-employed or business owners, the same cost of living pressures that affect ordinary households are affecting your business. Everything from electricity to gas to petrol. All right. Consumer sentiment and their behaviors is changing. The way people shop is very, very different. Some of you heard me earlier in the year talk about Google's thing called ZMOT, Z-M-O-T, which is zero moment of truth, which really highlights and explains how people are shopping these days. And it's very, very different. There's late payments. Talking to some of my clients, their late payments have blown out. They used to be an average of 16 days. Now it's 30 something plus. So you've got to control your debtors. AI is taking a big chunk out of things. There's a big push with government legislation for sustainability and a thing they call circular economics, where what you use goes back in and comes back again, etc., etc. Probably the biggest worry on there is the ATO's push on small business. They're out to try and get hold of $35 billion in recovery. Mind you, News Corp doesn't have to pay any tax at all. Never mind that. All right. So here's some predictions for what's going to happen in 2025. Cash is still going to be king, but notes won't be. There are far fewer ATM machines around than possible. And banks, I'm on the board of my local Bendigo bank. We're one of the few that actually prefer to transact in cash and support our customers. I was in a Commonwealth Bank yesterday, and if you want to take cash out, you've got to let them know at least half an hour before, because it's all locked up behind a time delay. And if you're in a country town, well, good luck with actually finding anywhere that can help you. But cash will still be king. Your cash flow is very, very important. AI is increasingly going to make inroads next year. Instagram is full of himbos and bimbos who are AI generated. They're not real people. There are people running that, OnlyFans thing with actually AI generated things and making thousands of dollars a month from it. If you think about it, though, you can use AI in lots of ways in your business. You can use it for customer service. The BCW CRM actually has a voice AI thing attached now, which will field calls to your business and then shoot them off to the right person. So you can use it there. You can use a lot of the bots, the AI bots. Again, you can get them through the CRM, but you can use them to replace VAs or a lot of the tasks VAs are doing. I'm keeping my VA because of the things she does I can't replace, but a lot of the stuff that I used to have her do, I no longer need her to do for me. And you need to rethink your business model in terms of AI and how can we make it work for you. All those people on the screen look pretty good, don't they? Every single one of them is generated by AI. Everyone is photorealistic, and they've smoothed out the videos so that it's almost impossible to tell the difference between AI generated people and the real thing. Trust in all media types is going to continue to drop next year. Certainly, Twitter, social media, Instagram, Facebook, the amount of fake news is incredible. Australia tends to follow the American experience. So if we have a look there, that 39% of people do not trust mass media anymore, and the people that used to trust it were high, almost 60%, are now down to 32%. The same thing will happen here. You just have to look at the Murdoch press or at the others, and you'd be crazy to trust everything they're saying. They're all pushing agendas. Customer experience is going to become more and more important as the year goes by. If you use AI properly, if you are paying attention to your customers, you'll be able to customize, pun intended, the experience people have. The closer you can make it to a low friction and what they're calling hyper personalized experience for people, the more you'll stand out from your competitors. There's a real choice here to keep doing business the same way, or to look at what's happening in the world and seeing how you can alter what you're doing so that you ride the wave and start differentiating yourself from what the other people are doing. Climate's a big one. In Australia, of course, we have cyclones, we have floods, we have droughts, and we have bushfires. We're hitting the bushfire season. And talking to one of the people I know at the CFA, he's saying they're expecting the worst year in 10 years this year. So with your business, again, you need to take that into effect. What things can the climate change or natural disasters, what effect can they have on your business depending where you're situated, or what upstream or downstream effects will they have on you depending on how it affects your suppliers and your clients. Being tech savvy is now a must-have. It's not a nice to have. You don't have to be an absolute expert, but you've got to be savvy about tech. You've got to understand how to use email. You've got to understand probably how to use a CRM properly. And if you're smart, you'll learn how to set up your own funnels and websites and do those sorts of things. But you can no longer stick your head in the sand and just say, oh, my web designer looks after that. You're going to have to get more savvy. And the thing is, if you get tech savvy, you're then going to be able to work with people like Stuart's organization in a much more meaningful and effective way than just throwing your hands up and hoping that they're going to be able to help you out. You've got to have plans. Can you mute yourself, please, Heather? You've got to have plans. You've got to have an overall business plan. You should have a marketing and promotional plan so you know what you're promoting in what month for what effect. And you should have a sales plan, like how much money am I intending to make in January, February, March, April, all right? Knowing your numbers next year is going to be more important than ever. You might have been able to skate the last year, the last 5 years, the last 20 years on not really knowing your numbers and meeting your accountant every 3 months or 6 months and just limping along. You have to know your numbers. You have to be able to react quickly to changes in the marketplace. And if you don't know your numbers, you can't do that. You need to have a real accountant. Most accountants are historians. They're very good at telling you what happened. They're okay sometimes at telling you what's going on, and they're crap at telling you what's going to happen in the future. You want a proper accountant who's going to give you a monthly profit and loss statement within 2 weeks of the previous month finishing. They're going to give you a profit and cash flow forecast for the month you're in, and they're going to give you a thing called an exception report, where they highlight on your budget and your profit and loss any line item which is above or below your budget by, in my case, that I do with my clients, is 3%. And that way you can take corrective action if any costs are starting to blow out, rather than waiting to your 6 monthly meeting with them. You can either stay the same or you can change. This is a more important choice for you as a self-employed person or a business owner than ever before. Here's a reality check for you. You should start right now, like this afternoon when all this is finished and you've listened to all of us speak. You should sit down and you should rate this year. You should think about the good, the bad, and the ugly. No, not the movie, but you should draw yourself up a little form like this. What was good that I want to do more of next year? What was bad that I need to learn from this year? And what was ugly that I want to avoid at all costs next year? Doing a GBU in your business now and using that in your planning for next year is vitally important if you're going to make next year successful. So when you're reviewing your business, was cash a problem? Or maybe you had plenty of revenue. Maybe you were constantly overwhelmed, or you were bored out of your brain, or you felt lost in the weeds. Or maybe you felt like you were sitting on top of the mountain and you had a clear view of everything that you needed to do in your business. Maybe you had no time for family and friends this year, or maybe you had lots of good times with the people that mattered most to you. Maybe you were tired and stressed and felt trapped and just over it all year. Or maybe you were excited and energized. You need to look at these things, and you need to do one of these for your personal self outside of work, your career and your business. What went well this year for you? What happened well for you on a personal level, a career level, and a business level? And what went not so well, or what should you stop doing? Again, it's about getting a very clear picture of the things that are going to stack the odds in your favor for next year. All right. This is why this matters. All right. I'm still not sure if Einstein actually said this, but if you're going to go into 2025 doing exactly the same things you did in 2024 and 2023 and expecting better results, you're crazy. You have to review your business, and you have to think about what positive changes can I make to make next year better for me. So what will you do? That's not exactly the same. In fact, why don't you just pop into the chat right now what it is that you are going to do different? Are you going to focus more on knowing your numbers? Are you going to expand your product range? What are you going to do? Just one thing very quickly in the chat for me. Let me see what you're going to do that's a bit different from this year to next. Back-end processes, more focused. Great, terrific. So here's a key differentiator: new schedule, market myself better, know my numbers, start sales. Okay, great. Boundaries, draw boundaries. Yes, one of the most important powers we need to develop as business owners or self-employed people is the power to say no and to say yes to the right things. So here's a key question for us to look at and think about. Are you a business owner, or are you just self-employed? And I don't mean just self-employed in a negative sense, but as we'll see, there are big differences. If you're just self-employed, the business can't run without you. You're wearing a whole heap of hats. You're the HR person, the marketing person, the salesperson, the accounts receivable person, the salesperson, etc. You get stuck in the weeds and you end up firefighting all the time, and you probably don't have many systems, right? If you're self-employed, you can't see the forest for the trees, because every day's a struggle just to pay the bills. You run around putting out bushfires. Mrs. Jones is unhappy with something, or that bit of software didn't work, or a supplier's late with something. You feel crushed and overwhelmed more often than not, just by the sheer effort of trying to keep things on track. You probably got few or no systems, and you probably don't have much automation. Again, a plug for the BCW CRM. If you don't have it, get it, because it will help you automate your business. All right. You feel like you're stuck on the hamster wheel. You're living Groundhog Day, and you never seem to be getting ahead. You feel trapped, or you just feel over it. You're just absolutely, I've had enough. Now, if you're going to be a business owner, the journey is quite straightforward. It doesn't mean it's easy. Like a self-employed person, you start in the weeds where you're stuck dealing with day-to-day crap. But eventually you step back and you can see the trees, so you get a bit of a better idea. Then you get to see the whole forest, and then you get to the base of the mountain, so you've got a much better view of things. And at the end of it, you want to get to the top of the mountain so you can see your entire marketplace and have a good helicopter view over your business and see what needs doing, what's working and what's not working. See, business owners do things like they have systems. They break their business down. They know what they need to do to generate and then convert leads. They know what reporting they want. They know how to control their costs and expenses. They know how to onboard their clients or how to onboard clients. They know how their finances and their money's running. They have systems in place. They have a toolkit. That toolkit might be full of templates, or it might be full of just standard things to do, but they build a toolkit that they can dip into when they need to run their business. They use leverage enormously well. They leverage software, they leverage tech, they leverage people they know. And if they have staff or they have a VA or two VAs, they leverage them to start doing the stuff that they don't want to do themselves. Business owners should be aiming to put their business on cruise control. Doesn't mean that they just set and forget, but what it means is, just like in a car, there is far less for you to have to do day by day to get where you're going. If a business is on cruise control, you can go and take 3 weeks off, 4 weeks off, 5 weeks off, and come back knowing the business is still going to be working. And in fact, in a lot of cases, it's working better without you being there. You'll get time and you'll get money if you're a business owner. You will develop things so you get into there. You'll be free. You won't feel chained to your job like if you're self-employed. You'll feel free. And you know what? With freedom comes the ability to spend more time doing the things you want, the people that matter most to you, all right? But in order for you to change, you've got to take chances. Here's a truth bomb for you. You generally need a guide. Trying to do all this by yourself, you can read all the books in the world, you can watch all the YouTube videos in the world, and you can talk to your peers. But if you don't have someone who's been there and done it, or has made a lifetime study of doing it, it can be really difficult, and you'll end up spinning your wheels and you'll waste a lot of time, energy, and money. All right. But before you do all that, you've got to look after first things first. And what's that? Well, you've got to remember to live. Right? We're in business so that we can give ourselves and our families the best lifestyle we possibly can, and to use our skills and maybe make a change or an impact in the world and leave a legacy. But at the end of the day, you've got to remember to live. This is why it's so important, because if you don't start off planning for yourself first, you'll suffer a thing called dukkha. Dukkha is, in Buddhism, the first of the rules, and it's normally translated as suffering. What it really means is dissatisfaction with living a mundane life. But there are so many business people I talk to who feel like their life lacks meaning, or they feel empty, or they feel there's a void in themselves. And in 99% of the time, that's because when they're planning their business, they don't plan for themselves and their family first. They plan about, when am I going to pay my BAS? When am I going to do this? So if you want to avoid dukkha, you plan for yourself first. You plan to have a life. Your business should sit around the outside of your life, not your life around the outside of your business. So you need to plan your life first, then your business. Those of you who know me know I keep talking about you should have one of these wall calendars. It's 365 days, and what you do is, first of all, you plan your personal stuff. How many, plan in 3 to 5 long weekends you're going to have next year. Figure out when you're going to have 2 weeks off in a row. Maybe 3 weeks is even better, because it's 1 week to unwind, 1 week to have fun, and 1 week to wind back up again. Put in all the birthdays and anniversaries and wedding stuff. Put in concerts you're buying tickets for. Put in fun stuff you want to do, whitewater rafting or whatever. And even put in mundane stuff like renovating the bathroom or the kitchen, but fill that in first. Then you put in your important business dates, you put in your regular meetings, you put in when you plan promotions. In May, I'm going to be doing a small business promotion or whatever. You maybe theme your months or theme weeks, or even theme particular days on an ongoing basis. Maybe every Monday you hold a marketing class. So every Monday you'll have that noted on this calendar. And put in your tax and your BAS and whatnot, but plan you first, that second, and have it up on the wall so you can see it, change it, and keep on track with it. This is the process. You need to pause today. You need to review your business. You need to decide what worked, what didn't work, and what changes you're going to make. You need to design how your business is going to look next year. You need to reset yourself mentally, possibly physically, and then you need to restart and move forward. There are 12 categories I run people across in their business, everything from direction and strategy to their enjoyment to work-life integration. There's not work-life balance, that doesn't exist, but just where you spend your energy. But you need to do that and score it. And the 3 lowest scores, the things you need to work on first. And I'll tell you now, revenue is generally one of them. The basics in 2025 in business are going to matter more than ever before. You've got to be very clear on the problem you solve with your product or service. You've got to make sure that it's a problem that people will actually pay you to have solved, and it's one that you're good at solving. You've got to be good at generating leads and generating revenue. You've got to protect your cash flow, and you've got to know your numbers. You've got to have some planning done, a business plan, a promotional plan. You've got to understand tech and how to apply it so it makes your life easier and less frictionful. You've got to be able to deliver what you promise when you promise it to your clients. You've got to control your costs. Ensuring your product or service fits, quite simply, run yourself through these sort of questions. What's the problem that it solves? Who do I solve it for? Or are you like many businesses, you've got a solution that's in search of a problem, or something that's not really needed. Understand this. There are 3 things that motivate people. There is the desire for pleasure, the desire to avoid pain, and there's the desire to find meaning in their lives. That book, Man's Search of Meaning by Viktor Frankl, he actually says meaning. So people, though, are motivated most strongly by the desire to avoid pain. So if you've got a product or service, look at it this way. What pain are you removing from people's lives? What pain are you reducing or eradicating or mitigating for them? That's the best way to have something that people will probably pay you for. Is it going to fit your market? Will people pay for it, or will they pick up the phone and pick your brain and then move on without paying anything for it? They are paying for it. How much and how often? And for God's sake, make sure it's profitable for you. Figure out how you're going to deliver it. Is it online? Is it offline? Is it a physical product? Is it intangible? Is it a hybrid? And bonus thing is, if you're doing this product service, hopefully it's something you like doing as well. The 3 levers I keep talking about will always hold true, right? Revenue, how do you control your revenue? How do you build your revenue? How do you increase your revenue? Capacity, what's your capacity to deliver to your clients? How many clients can you take on board? And how well can you deliver on time to your clients? And control of your costs. How close are you to your costs? How ruthless are you at getting rid of things that no longer serve you? But those 3 levers are more important than ever next year. I said, you've got to be relevant to your marketplace. I remember this as a kid. I used to see this in comic books all the time, sea monkeys. All right. I couldn't sell them, but I showed them to my adult kids, and they had no idea what they were or what they were about. If you've got a product or a service, it's got to fit your market. It can't be something that worked 5 years ago or even 2 years ago. If it no longer works or it's no longer relevant, you've got to find something else to do. You need to have strategies and not just tactics. Tactics are quickly, I'm going to jump on the phone, or I'm going to no longer pay insurance or something. You need a strategy. You need to work through that, and you need to have someone help you figure out the right strategies for your business moving forward. You need to consider using a tool called KPIs, which stand for Key Performance Indicators, which is where you essentially break your business down into set tasks that have to be done with measurements. A KPI has to be measurable. So how many clients did we get to join us this week? How much sales did we do? How many widgets did we sell? Those are things. And if you haven't done it already, you need to have your vision for your business. What is it that your business wants to do? Your mission, what is it you want your business to achieve? And the values, what are the values you want to use to drive your business? And if you have staff, can you go on mute, please, Malcolm? Thank you. And your values, you've got to, if you've got staff in particular, you've got to decide what values you want to see in your business. So once you've got your vision, your mission, your values in state, then you need to create your key performance indicators. How am I going to know the business is doing what I want it to do in order to hit my vision and my mission? And then you break that down into straight action items, which again, you assign to people. Your biggest risk, as I said before, is cash. Now here's 7 ways to look after your cash flow. Your business should be top line driven. It should all be focused on getting revenue in. If you sell physical products, you need to make sure your stock management is right. Maybe not go just in time, but don't go too far just in case, but make sure you're not carrying too much stock. Control your debtors and your creditors and control your costs. If you're taking loans out, make sure you're regularly shopping around for the best rates. And if you've got insurance, don't just renew it blindly every year. Go out and get some quotes and find if you can save money there. If your business model's been bricks and mortar, maybe you need to move to clicks and mortar to keep pace with what's happening. And your assets, and assets aren't just things like cars and buildings and computers. Assets are also your intellectual property. What programs have you got? What templates have you got? What things have you got which are yours uniquely that are assets that you can use to help drive revenue? My big thing here is every business should be creating a buffer for emergencies. You want to get a minimum of 3 months of your costs to run your business set aside in a bank account that you don't touch. And if you can build up to 6 months, that's great. 12 months is fantastic. Imagine the comfort you would feel if you knew you had 6 months of operating costs of your business tucked away in a bank account. So for 6 months, even if you get another client, you could still keep the doors open. You could still pay yourself. That's what creating a buffer is all about. It's very, very important. Again, I said increasing your revenue, become top line driven, increase your prices. You can add products, expand your range. You can maybe decrease the utility of products like, Tim Tams used to be 12 in a packet. Now they're 8 or 10 or something like that. You can up, down, or cross sell. You can sell more to existing clients. You can get more clients, or you can add a new marketplace. You need to increase your revenue. And this is one of the ways to do it. You create a little form like this, revenue generation. What things are you going to do to generate revenue? How often are you going to use them? Who's going to do them? And where are you going to do them? By where, it might mean face-to-face. It might mean it's Facebook. It might mean it's Instagram or it's LinkedIn. But where are you going to generate revenue from? Map all this out. It's really, really important to do that. Figure out your priorities next year. What's the low-hanging fruit for your business? And when are you going to address it? And again, where are you going to address it from? Is it online? Is it offline? Is it the Gold Coast meetings that Mark run where you talk to other people? Where are you going to actually address the priorities you've got for your business? Create systems. Look, if anything happens on a regular basis or more than once in your business, you need to create a system. We need to know that this is what happens when we get a delivery. Systems make your life easier. In discipline lies freedom. So if you don't have systems in place, particularly to cover repetitive actions or things that happen again and again in your business, you're adding more friction to your life than you need to have. It's really hard. In fact, just while we're here, if your video's off, could you turn it on? It's always nice to see people's faces, but of course, stay on mute for me if you would. Here's the other thing you can do. You can structure your business, and part of that means controlling your productivity. You can have themed days every week. Like I said, marketing Monday, finish it Friday, sales Wednesday, whatever it is. You can theme your weeks depending on your business. You might have one week thanks Martin, where you just focus on dealing with customers, or another week where you do all your marketing or promotions. But by theming things, it focuses your mind and focuses your ability to act. Structure your client contact. You can squeeze your week. I have a client that I taught who the first call that's available for him to book with clients is 4 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. The next one's 2 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. The next one's 1 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. So he fills Wednesdays. Then he fills Tuesdays from afternoon to morning, Thursdays afternoon to morning, right? Mondays, he fills from afternoon to lunchtime, and hopefully he can have a late start. And Fridays, he starts in the morning and finishes at lunchtime so he can have an early mark. But you can organize your diaries so the clients are talking to you when you need to. They've proven that if you stop what you're doing, working, to take a phone call or make a phone call, it can take up to 35 minutes for you to get back on track with what you were doing beforehand. So if you're in a heavily sales-orientated role or business, it's really, really important that you try and consider how you're going to control your customer contact. Selfies I've spoken about before. That's literally booking 1, preferably 2 meetings a week with yourself, half an hour to 90 minutes. where you literally spend time thinking about your business. And you can do that while going for a walk. You can do that while you're having a swim, or you can do it sitting in your office with a cup of coffee. But twice a week, and these should be the most important meetings you have every week, are the times you spend thinking about your business and how to improve it. Sunday, you should spend 45 minutes and set up the week. You should decide the 5 things you'll have done by 5 o'clock Monday night. You should decide the 3 big things that are going to move your business closer to your goals, and you should review the previous week, and that's 45 minutes on a Sunday well spent. I do it with a glass of red usually, but you can, your mileage may vary. And 5 by 5, most of you know that now. It's literally 5 o'clock at night. You do a brain dump and you pick 5 things you'll have finished by 5 o'clock the following night, when you do another brain dump and pick the next 5 things. And they can be a mixture of personal or business things. They can be large or small. They shouldn't be crushingly big for you. So again, myself, what things am I going to do? Accelerate. What things can I use ChatGPT or AI to do for me? Can I get those emails written for me? Can I get that book written? Can I use chat to record a podcast for me, or to editorialize something, or to create faceless videos? You should be looking at how to use tech to accelerate what you do, right? And delegate, of course, is what stuff can I give to other people to do for me, whether it's a VA or a staff member. You've got to stop multi-hatting, right? As much as possible, you want to get rid of the number of hats you wear in running a business. To do that, you need a thing called the to-don't list, and I'll give you a link at the end of this so you can all get a copy if you want. But what you do is you write down everything you do in your business. Then from that list, you extract everything you love doing, and you extract the things you hate doing. Then you decide the things that only you can do. Then you have a list of the things to let go of, just to stop doing. They no longer serve you or your business. You create a list of things to delegate, decide to who and by when. And you'd be amazed how much useless crap you're doing running your business that you shouldn't be. And you should go through this process probably every 10 to 12 weeks. Use AI or hire a VA, get help, find your implementer. When we run a business, we tend to wear 2 hats. There's the creator hat and there's the implementer hat. And when we start off, we've got to wear both hats. But when your business gets big enough or is starting to get some goals, you need to split those roles. You need to decide, are you a creator or are you an implementer? Most entrepreneurial type people tend to be more creators, so you need to find your implementer. And that implementer may not be full-time. They might be a VA. They might be a use through AI. It might be a staff member. You can do that sort of stuff. And of course, if you want to, you can get help. The QR code there on the screen, if you want to scan that, that'll take you to my diary and we can hook up for a quick chat and see how I can help you with some of this stuff I've been talking to you about. There's 2 thoughts you need to drop. One of them is, let's wait. And the other one is, let's see what happens. The world moves too fast at the moment for you to do that. You can no longer sit back and wait. You've got to be proactive and moving forward. Success loves speed. Success loves movement. It doesn't like people sitting on their asses waiting to see what falls out. This is the focus for 2025. You should be open for business. The rate of insolvencies in small business in Australia is the highest it's been in 10 years. It's only slightly less than COVID, which was an anomaly, but it's 25% higher than what was happening before then. Too many businesses are going broke, and they're going broke because they don't know what they don't know. And all they need is someone to really show them the things that they need to understand. So here's the ways you bring it off. You can Lone Ranger it, but even he had Tonto and Silver to help him. You can work with someone who understands growing a business. You can join a community of folks who are moving from self-employed to being true business owners. Or you can find a program to increase your chances of having a successful 2025. Next steps are quite simple. After today, you should draw a line in the sand. You should decide to stay in the fight and review your business and start thinking about the things I've mentioned here, all right? You should spend the next 3 months avoiding shooting yourself in the foot. And you shoot yourself in the foot if you don't get help, or if you think what worked this year and last year is going to work next year. Parts of it will, but a lot of it won't. And if you just go ahead, you're really not going to have a great 2025. So take the plunge, all right? Get some help. There's that link again if you want to have a chat with me. And in fact, I would imagine if I do this, hopefully, you'll see a hard link in the chat for you to look through there if you want. But get some help. Have a call with someone who's been there and done it and can give you some advice. All right. Decide to play your own music and not dance to the tune of other people. Just don't stick your head in the sand and hope things are going to change, because they're not. All right. My favorite quote from Henry Rollins when he was back with Black Flag: there's no such thing as spare time. There's no such thing as free time. There's no such thing as downtime. All you've got is lifetime. Go. So the choices are very clear to you guys now. You can do more of the same and just hope things are going to change by themselves. You can stay where you are, or you can get ready to fly. Remember, success loves action. So the to-don't list, I will just put the link to that in the chat for you as well. So there's 2 links in the chat. One is to my calendar to have a chat with me for half an hour about your business. And the other one is where you can go and download the to-don't list. It's a bit clunky because it's on my website, which is 2 years past needing to be reset, but that's one of my big projects for early next year. But you can still get it from there. Stick around. There's lots more good stuff to come with Michael Griffiths, with Stuart, and with Jay coming up ahead. Michael Griffiths in particular is going to blow your socks off. He's nothing short of brilliant at what he does. So look, thanks for coming along. Let's have that chat. You've got the links, you've got the QR code, and that's me done. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Geoff. Now, just a heads up, guys. I mean, Geoff rams that down my throat every 2 weeks, and every time I'm in the car and every time I see him, and it's absolute gold. I mean, I still sat there. The to-don't link is wrong, apparently, Geoff. Can you check on that?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, if only we had technology to stop us doing that sort of stuff.
I know, if only.
I know, it's crap, isn't it? So guys, look, I would strongly advise anybody. I don't care if you've already got a business coach. Have a chat with Geoff. All right, Geoff turned this business around 2 years ago. We wouldn't be here wouldn't be here without a lot of people, but we definitely wouldn't be here without Geoff. Take him up on his offer. If he's going to have a chat with you for half an hour, I guarantee you are going to walk away with some gold. Any questions for I'll stop the recording.